If I were to start Etsy from the very beginning all over again, I would have done a lot of things different. Now, despite having an Etsy shop with over 130,000 sales, I would do things differently today than I would have done when I started that Etsy shop. In fact, not a lot of things that I did with that Etsy shop or any of my Etsy shops, I did efficiently. And I wish I came across this exact video. I would have done things very differently. So in this conversation that I want to have with you guys, I want to go through some of the things that I would have done differently. And I want to share the secrets. I want to talk about what I would have done differently. And in fact, recently I've been working with a lot of people to get to their first 100 sales. I've been really involved in people's Etsy shops, setting it up, getting things, getting things started. And I find that things are different now than they were before. And there's a lot of things I wouldn't have done, and it would have saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours if I were to do these things. So I think this video is going to be very useful if you are trying to sell on Etsy, or you're making it as a side hustle, or you're wanting it to make it your full-time career, or you want to employ. I've done all of those, and I want to share with you guys what the strategy I would take. Now, here's the thing. You might have a different approach to Etsy, and you might even do the same things that I did. And it brings you to a certain kind of Etsy business, and that's where I'm at. But if I were to go back, I would do a lot of things differently. It would look differently, and it might not look the same way for you, but it's just something that I would do. So the first thing that I would do, now, before I continue, for those that don't know, my name is Vlad. I've been, like I said, a top seller on Etsy for the past 5 years. I also consult and manufacture for top sellers, and I bring new Etsy sellers on board to be selling my product and the company that I'm working with called We Engrave. Check out the link in the description to know how to get onboarded with them if you want to make money from your computer, literally 30 minutes a day. Check it out. Now, I've seen things come and go, but there are some things that are absolutely must, and you have to do it. But when you're just starting, there's so many things you don't have to do. There's so many things that you could just start, and you can actually figure that out later. In fact, you are going to save a lot of time if you did figure out some of the things later into your Etsy business. A lot of times we try to learn everything, and it gets overwhelming. You know, you have to learn SEO, you got to learn Illustrator, Photoshop, you got to all these things, and there's all these softwares coming at you. You need to learn. But here's the thing. This is what I would have done differently if I had almost no skill. So if you are the kind of person that you might not have, 8 or 20 years of Illustrator experience, that's okay. So the first thing I would do is pick a niche, okay? So let me just kind of go through just quickly on how to pick a niche. The reason why you want to pick a niche is because you want to provide value. And I talk about this all the time. Make sure that you choose a really on-demand niche, a niche that has kind of has traffic, but at the same time has kind of an urgency. So urgency, I mean, like, there could be a niche of people that love, to put little pins on their Crocs, right? That's a niche, but it's not urgent. When there is an event coming up, like the wedding niche, well, that's kind of a bit more urgent. You got to get some things in place because people are coming over. There's a big crowd of people coming to your wedding, and you want to make sure that's organized. So there's things that are absolutely necessary. So, or maybe a child's first birthday or first day at school. There's events or things that are a bit more urgent for customer. When they come on to the platform, they're going to make the purchase versus they don't have to. They're just interested. They might favor it, but they might not buy it because there's no urgency. So when you're picking a niche, make sure there's urgency and there is sufficient amount of traffic. And what we want to do is when you go on your reviews, this is very simple way of determining whether the product is good. Just make sure that there's at least one review each day. Make sure it's chronologically for that listing. And if there's at least one review each day, try selling that. Really is that simple, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't look into which one has which one's going to generate better click-through rate, which one's going to generate better conversion rate. Don't think about all of that. Just find a product or a niche that has somewhat of an urgency. Now, you don't have to be successful at your product one. That's okay. Just get started, okay? You move on to the next one. Is figuring out your manufacturer. Like, this is what I would have done, okay? Now, you can manufacture your own product, but I would actually not manufacture my own product. And later I would have, but not in the beginning. Why? Because you want to test out and see what works. You want to test out, see which products are working. Then you invest into equipment if you find that that's appropriate for your lifestyle or where you're at. Now, if you have love for woodworking and you do want to make some wooden things and you want to personalize them later down the road, well, how about you start off by just having somebody else personalizing for you, try some products, and then later down the road, if you have volume, you can then build your own station. But if you find that you would like to work from your computer, that might be where you might want to end. But you don't need any commitment, because the moment you need to commit, some things happen. Now, I always am for committing, go all the way, all in, no plan B. But that prevents you from starting. And that's the biggest thing I want you to just start, right? When you overcomplicate the manufacturing, you overcomplicate what you need to know, things, you kind of push it off to the side. But when you realize, okay, I don't have to manufacture it myself, I can have somebody else do it for now, maybe even forever, but have somebody else do it for now. You need to figure out Etsy. You need to figure out the basics. When I have new employees, especially with this machine back here, they got all these straps, they got to sew together, and they got to make them into collars. It can get overwhelming, and I usually tell them, okay, right now what you're going to do is you're going to make the first part of the collar. That's it. So take all of these collar and just sew the first part, and then put them onto the left side, just one side. That's it. And they're like, when they're done, they've done it 100 times. Then like, okay, now we're going to do the second part. Now do the second part on each collar that you've done so far. And I find that employees do so much better on onboarding with our company than if I were to show them the whole process. So I love this way of approach. So when you're just starting, just start simply. So pick a niche, find somebody that can do it. Now there's different ways to find them. Like I mentioned before, you can do Printify or Printful. There are a lot of print-on-demand businesses that will manufacture very simple products for you. And there's a lot of catalog. There's a big catalog. Or you can find, like I said, small Etsy shops. Now, if you check out We Engrave, they have a catalog, not as massive as Printful or Printify, and they continue to expand. They continue to add more products to it. Or you can find Etsy shops like me. I manufacture for Etsy sellers. There's a lot of dog stores that are popping up that I manufacture for. And you can find other Etsy shops. You can reach out to them and say, hey, can we do a partnership? Now, again, if you're interested in how to set that up, check out the link in the description. You'll kind of get an idea on how you can set up with maybe somebody that does leather. You don't have to do, t-shirts. You don't have to do mugs. You can actually do very specific products that are not done by you, but by somebody else. So just find them. And if your uncle's really good at leather, or somebody else has a CO2 laser, say, hey, how about you manufacture and I'm going to do it from my computer? In fact, when I started my Etsy shop, I started with a $100 sewing machine. Well, I bought a $100 sewing machine, but I outsourced the embroidery to my mother and said, hey, how about you embroider? In fact, I got to a point where I just bought the bandanas. I didn't sew them myself. I just bought the bandanas and said, Mom, just embroider them. And that's kind of a format that you want to start with. You don't want to overcomplicate systems and processes and inventory and having enough of inventory. No, just have somebody else do it. You need to figure out Etsy, okay? Then the next thing you want to do, either you're going to order it and send it to them if you are going to be doing a very specific product that they probably don't have, or you're doing something Printful, just start working on the listing. Try to create one listing. You're not going to post it, you're not going to be good at it, but just try to create a listing. And then just note everything you had to do to make that listing come to life, okay? Again, you don't have to post it. This could be in your draft when you're just opening up the store. You don't actually have to open it all the way, okay? What did it take you to create that listing? Did you need to use Illustrator? Did you need to use Photoshop, or did you use Canva? Did you use your phone to edit the photos? Whatever you needed to do, learn those softwares. You don't have to learn everything. You don't have to know everything. Just learn what it took you to get there. Because a lot of times when people think about learning Illustrator, they think they have to know how to draw a logo and they need to do graphic design. No, just whatever you need. If it's just text, learn how to do text, okay? That's it. You don't have to know much, okay? Once you've learned the basics that it takes to create the listing, figure out a more efficient way to create more listings. Because at the end of the day, you're building a business. You're not just creating one listing. You're going to need to figure out a way or a system in which way you can bring more listings onto the platform or more listings onto your Etsy shop. Because what we're going to do later is we're going to try to grow. We're going to try to scale. We want to test whether what we're doing is working. So if you, for example, decided to sell dog collars, if you posted 1 or 2 dog collars, you really don't know if it's going to be a successful niche. What you want to do is you want to post 100. You want to post 100 and spend about 2 months trying to sell it. That's when you really know whether you should continue selling this or move on to the next product. And like most of my sellers that sell my product, about a month and a half, it usually takes about a month and a half to maybe 2 months to get 100 sales. Okay? And then month 3, they get about 10 to 20 sales a day. And that's very normal. And so it does take a couple months to really get started. So create a good system, learn only the things you need to know, create a good system to bring more listings onto the marketplace, and then test it for the next 2 months. Okay? It is as simple as that. Now, as far as advertisement, what do you do with advertisement? Now, before I talk about advertisement, when you get to this place, just make sure to reward yourself, right? Make sure that you really look at yourself and say, I learned how to bring a product to the market, okay? Whether you're gonna be successful or not, whether you're gonna win on this exact product that you're selling, just don't forget to just be amazed with what you did so far. You have found a niche, you have communicated with the manufacturer, you figured out a way to set up a system, you've now brought a legitimate product you're selling to the customer, and that product is going to be fulfilled. Like, you actually are now providing a product. That right there, you've built a business. Now again, whether it succeeds or not, you've built something. And so you want to make sure that you package that up and really put it on your mental fridge and just know that you did that. Okay? Because then what you're going to do, once you've done that and you looked at it, you're going to be inspired to really build it further. Okay? And I talk about this all the time when I talk to friends and family who are trying to start an Etsy business. I'm like, you have to have passion, but you don't have passion in the beginning. So if you're thinking like, I shouldn't open an Etsy shop, maybe I should, you really don't have passion. Once you start working through it and you look at your progress, and like I said, you put it on a mental fridge and you say, I did this, you're gonna then have passion. You're then going to have the excitement to do it. That's why I'm like, okay, first just get listings out there, because then you're gonna wanna do it. And this step, this is when you really wanna do it. Now, you can get all fancy, you can get a packaging, or you can have a super cool logo, and I wouldn't even worry about a logo in the beginning. I would just write a name of your Etsy shop that you've chosen, that's it. Don't worry too much about it. But later down, when you have the passion, you're gonna wanna do it. So once you have posted a product, whatever it is, whether it's bandanas or bridesmaids, something else, make sure you spend enough time to actually bring products to market. Don't just rely on 1 or 2 listings. Bring a good amount of products, do a little bit of keyword research. This is where you're starting to get a little fancy, okay? Figure out, like, if you're doing wedding signs, well, there are seating signs, there are schedule signs, well, there's, the night before signs, or aloha. Well, you just keep finding these keywords and create the listings for it. Just keep putting them out there till you get 2 months until you really know whether something is successful, okay? Then what you do is you think about advertising. Now, I start advertising day one. This is what I would have done. Now, you don't have to do it, but if I were to start from the very beginning, because you're not investing into inventory, you're not investing into machinery, you got some elbow room to invest into marketing. Let's just be real. You are building a business. So when we talk about building a business, we think it's normal to invest into equipment or invest into inventory. Like, I buy fabric and I buy straps. That seems normal. But when we think about advertising, we think like, well, I don't have to do that. Well, no, that's part of building the business. That's part of the investment. And so have some money set aside for advertisement and run advertisement on seasonal products. This is what I would do. This is something a little bit specific. There's always a season that's coming up. Whether you're getting ready for the summer, there's something in the summer that's happening. Whether you're in the kind of getting into the fall season, there's Halloween, there's fall, there's Thanksgiving, whatever season, advertise a seasonal product. It's okay. I usually like to do evergreen, but we're going to get our Etsy shop started. We want reviews. We want to get velocity. Velocity means you're going to start to get sales. You're going to generate sales. The more sales you generate, it's going to introduce you to more customers, and the more customers you generate, convert, and it just keeps going. It's just going to keep going. Okay. So advertise as much as you financially can on seasonal products, okay? So that's going to give you some boost of traffic. It's going to give you a boost of sales if your quality is good. If you're spending money and nobody's buying, there's another story, right? And you're going to get to that and you're going to probably waste some money. But that's okay. We're not wasting, we're actually spending money because we're finding out, we're getting information. Change your listings. Don't change the current listing because you're going to de-rank it, you're going to de-index it. But the next listing you post on, you're like, you know what? I'm going to change this and this and that, okay? Start tweaking, making it better with every single post that you make. And again, your system doesn't have to be perfect in the beginning. Though you're going to create a little system in the beginning of how to bring a listing onto the marketplace, you might tweak it, you might change it, make sure that it's better, maybe add better graphics on informational photos. So this is where you're starting to really build your listing. Make sure that the listing is as best as it possibly can. Again, don't have to think about too much. You're slowly thinking about one thing at a time as you're adding more listings. This is another reason why you want to add consistently. because you want to get good at adding listings. Adding a listing is a whole art in itself that I don't want to get into this video. I have other videos describing how to do a listing, but this is where you want to start building up that skill of creating a good quality listing. Make sure you're checking everything, all the details is really important, but make sure you bring something to the market and get better every single time. All right, and the last two, very important, okay? Once you advertise, if it's not working after 2 to 3 months, just not moving, find another product. Maybe in that niche, maybe in a different niche, but find another product and do the same thing. And you just keep moving and trucking along, okay? And the last one is have patience. A lot of times you'll come across a lot of videos on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, wherever you watch your reels, of telling you how you can make a lot of money. Like, this guy is making $50,000 from this one listing. Well, first of all, they didn't get there overnight, and second of all, that listing might not be making those numbers anymore. Etsy has changed, and being patient and working through your listings, working through a lot of these things, you're going to learn about SEO, you're going to learn about different marketing strategies, trends, you're going to learn about what colors work better than the other. All of this is going to come your way. Subscribe to this channel because this is where we talk about it, and subscribe to other channels. Really start to learn and figure out one bit of information at a time, and you're going to grow your Etsy business. And then you could probably sell on other platforms like Amazon Handmade. I talk about a lot about that. TikTok Shop. I'm really trying that out. I'm recording behind the scenes. If you are a course member, that is coming out soon. And my goal is to get to, I said $1,000 in sales per day, but realistically, I'm going to get to, again, I want to be patient as well. I know I got really big ambitions, but I want to get to $200 to $500 in sales per day on TikTok Shop, which I think is going to work. I'm going live and I'm selling my products. Kind of fun. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to put some of that. I got a single mom that I'm helping to get on board with a print-on-demand business model that I'm also recording, and I'm getting that as well, getting that ready. So check out the course, become a member, and really get at it. Get started, and don't forget to reward yourself. And until next time, you guys have a great one.